Hey everybody, it's Lulu the Jester here, and with the new Battlefield 6 beta dropping once again for the second week, I figured I would share some tips and tricks on what I think that any new or returning player should know when they are starting this game. So without further ado, let's start with tip number 1, and that is dragging is officially in the game now. A concept that was once shown off in the Battlefield 5 trailer is actually here in the game, and honestly, it works perfectly. It's something that completely makes sense and is kind of intuitive. You just simply go up behind a person, grab them by the collar, and pull them into whatever direction that you want to. Obviously, if you're medic, you revive them a lot faster, but if they're in the same squad, you can still revive other people just like kind of previous Battlefields have been doing. Another tip to know is that support and medic have kind of been integrated into the same class. Essentially, you're now a combat medic. Yeah, you have the LMG and everything like that, and you can also change what kind of field spec that you have. But with the new way that the supply bag gadget works, you basically are able to supply ammo and health at the same time. Aside from that, some of the classes also got a few changes. Recon is going to be a bit more of that intel once again, just like in previous Battlefield games, but Engineer is now back, which is going to be the more dedicated vehicle buster class, while Assault is going to be more for your anti-infantry and focusing on, other soldiers. Whereas previous Battlefields, Assault and Engineer are kind of the ones that were put together, and now in this game, it's support. Another tip is that while you are playing as the sniper class, and of course all of the other classes, you have field specs, and one of the great ones with Recon is that when you get to the last level, you are able to call in a UAV, which works essentially like a UAV does in Call of Duty. But if you see an enemy UAV, you can also shoot it down. So it's not like they're permanent, and you do have some interaction with it, just like in Call of Duty, which is a really great idea because you don't want people to just be able to permanently spot without having any of that interaction to be able to counter that. Our next tip is going to be mostly focused on how the new weapon system works. Essentially, instead of just being able to slap on every single attachment and just kind of however you want, your attachments now have points. The quote-unquote better a attachment might be, the more that point value will be. So as you see, for example, the CQB suppressor, which will be able to take me off of the minimap when I'm within a certain range of people, is a bit more than the flash hider and the compensator, because tactically speaking, the CQB suppressor offers more. That also applies to some other things, like obviously belt fed animation. 100 rounds is less than 200 rounds, and so of course the 200 round belt is way more points. So just as you see at the top, I have 60 out of 100 points on the LMG because I haven't gotten everything unlocked just yet, but at least that way you have a visible representation of understanding how each and every gun will be changed by their point value, as well as an extended version of the stats page, because now you actually are able to see how these stats are changed. If you press the button to expand your stats, you will be able to see all of the things like fire modes, reload time, muzzle velocity, ADS in time, headshot multiplier, all those types of things, and how each of these stats are affected by all of these different attachments, which is great because previously in other Battlefields, we had to use things like, I believe it was simthic.com, and stuff like that, basically third-party sites that were able to put in the values, and essentially it was fan-made, and that way you were able to understand a bit more how these different attachments worked. But now we actually have the tools for that in the game. Our next tip is I would suggest using the firing range, because I believe this is the first time we've had a smaller firing range just like this in Battlefield. Previously in Battlefield 4, we had basically an entire island that allowed you to, play with not only the weapons but also the vehicles. Unfortunately, we don't have as expansive of a firing range in this game, but you are able to, do the whole prone sniper thing and test out, at least at different ranges, how effective your gun is and what that recoil is going to be like. Obviously, you can also edit the loadout from here specifically, so you can pretty much test out all the different attachments once you unlock them on your weapon and see right out the gate what it feels like, rather than having to go into a match and actually do it. If you're in your HQ and you've already spawned, you can actually edit your class before you take off. So if you want to switch to Engineer when you spawned as Recon or Support, or even take Assault or something like that, it just helps to know that you don't always have to, at least when you spawn in, take that option. Sometimes you do have a little bit of leeway to, properly change your class and everything like that for whatever situation if you've made a mistake at the beginning. When you die, your actual kit is fully turned into a little backpack, and you'll always be able to tell which class it is because even if you have the HUD off, it'll show the symbol on your backpack. So instead of having like just the weapon there and it being a difficult thing to figure out, actually just kind of puts everything nice and neatly together in a little kit for you. So you always know what you're gonna grab, what weapon, what class, all that kind of stuff without any confusion. And just to remind you guys, unlike previous Battlefield games where sometimes you would only switch your weapon, I believe it was Battlefield 2042 and I think Battlefield 5 both have this. In this game, you fully switch your class to whichever the other kit is. While you're playing, you will notice that there are vehicle stations in the game again. So once again, these are for repairing your vehicle when you don't have access to the quick repair, which can only repair up to a certain percentage of health. And it's also used to replenish any kind of ammo or anything that you're gonna need for your vehicle. So all of your tank shells and all that kind of stuff, that's gonna be where you get all of that resupply from. Another cool little tip I'll give you guys is that you can actually hang on the back of a tank instead of getting inside of it. If the tank is full, or if you just happen to want a quick hop off, just go to the back of it and press the button that normally lets you hop on. You can just hop on and off real quick. Another tip that I'd like to give you guys is that you can lay on your back just so that you have a better tactical advantage as far as like being prone, and you can also aim down sights and still shoot, reload, all that kind of stuff. Use your gadgets and everything. The one thing that you do have to remember is that you are able to crawl backwards regularly a lot faster than when you are aiming. So if you're trying to get out of dodge, you just might want to do it regular. Anyways, that is all the tips and tricks that I have for you guys today for both new and returning Battlefield players. I hope everybody and anybody who came through the video was able to learn at least a little bit something. As you know, the Battlefield beta has its second weekend going on, so anyone who wants to play it can go ahead and get in on the action. There will be more Battlefield 6 content on the channel, especially once the game launches and everything like that. Please like and subscribe, comment down below if you guys have any other tips that you want to share. And speaking of sharing, share it with your mom, share it with your friends. And as always, peace and chicken grease. I'll catch you guys on the battlefield. I'm out.